What I've been doing. We got day 4 of streaming Warhammer for 10 hours. We're gonna play Warhammer for 10 hours again today. It's a beautiful day outside, a lovely day to sit indoors and play Warhammer on my computer for 10 hours while the economy collapses and the banks fail. If that interests you, please join me. Click the link in the bio, it'll take you to my YouTube. And you can watch me play some video game. If anyone cares to know where I've been or what I've been doing, we got day 4 of streaming Warhammer for 10 hours. We're gonna play Warhammer for 10 hours again today. It's a beautiful day outside, a lovely day to sit indoors and play Warhammer on my computer for 10 hours while the economy collapses and the banks fail. If that interests you, please join me. Click the link in the bio, it'll take you to my YouTube. And you can watch me play some video game. If anyone cares to know.
Well, we got ourselves some breaking news this evening. You have U.S. representatives have actually broken their silence on trade negotiations and this whole trade war between America and Canada. And Canada simultaneously is taking a weird approach. Instead of not attacking or retaliating against America, they're choosing to pick a fight with America. So instead of Canada dealing directly with America with trade, Canada is now going around America and trying to strengthen ties with Mexico. I can't believe we're living in this weird world. Canada does not, so much so, out of desperation, out of weird semantics, out of optics, is so desperate to not have a trade deal with America that they're literally going around America to the bottom, to Mexico, to try and negotiate a better deal and strengthen ties. I don't freaking understand this mentality. I think liberals in this country are borderline retarded. I don't know what else to say except that. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I really want to encourage everyone to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And if you want to support this channel above and beyond just subscribing and liking the videos, there are many, many links down below to buy me a coffee, to PayPal, all that stuff where you can take it one step further. But without further ado, let's get into this news because it's getting absolutely crazy out there. But we're going to leave the trade stuff for later, especially what America says is going to be towards the end of the video. We're going to start off with some more local news. In British Columbia on Vancouver Island, no bridge to get off of the island, by the way. It's only BC ferries and planes. Is now, parts of it are under evacuation. Let's take a look because of these wildfires.
I know you're also watching the wildfire situation on Vancouver Island. What's happening there?
Yeah, all the way on the other side of the province, or the other side of the country, rather. Same problems, though. The Wesley Ridge fire on Vancouver Island continues to grow, continues to be an issue for firefighting crews. This fire is 389 hectares, and it is out of control. Again, as we mentioned a little earlier, Natasha, these are smaller fires than we've seen in some other areas. However, they are intense, and they are in populated areas, so they are causing a lot of problems. We have a map here that shows you where it is. It's between Port Alberni and Nanaimo, so again, near populated areas. But I want to show you some of the footage we got into our newsroom just within the last hour of just how intense these fires are. It is all fire, all smoke nearby as fire crews do their work to try to get this under control. But because of the intensity of those flames, just over 390 homes and the people who live in them now are being asked to evacuate. 238 other properties are on evacuation alert. Again, that means you have to be ready to go on a moment's notice. And people in the region are being told to stay out of the water in the area because water bombers and helicopters need that water in order to do the work that they do to target these fires from above. There's another issue that firefighters are dealing there. A local official spoke to a CBC News crew in the region and says it's the terrain in the area. It is very tricky, very difficult for them to work in.
You know, if you drive to Port Alberni, you can see the hill. It's very, very steep. And the terrain, it hasn't been logged in there for a long, long time. So the trees are large, it's steep, and it's bone dry. So those conditions themselves would be difficult for the attack crews going in.
Good news for
Absolutely. Unless they're on the very east side of the island or the west side of the island where there's major roads in and out, it becomes very difficult to go after these fires, especially when it starts getting into the mountains. There is no quick way in. There's only really helicopter access for the meat and potatoes of the island in between the outskirts of it, which is basically where everyone is populated anyways, is on the outer parts of the island. So good job to the fire crew and to the first responders for doing their best to contain the situation. If it does take over a massive part of the island, people are absolutely fucking. Vancouver Island, which is where I'm currently at, does not have the resources to combat an insanely out of control fire. And it's very devastating because, again, limited places that can be evacuated because you're stuck. You're on an island. You're stuck on a freaking island. So, anyways, more on that later. Now we got to take a look at what's going on with asylum seekers. The RCMP intercepts asylum seekers and 3 alleged smugglers trying to enter Quebec from the United States.
3 people are facing human smuggling charges after RCMP intercepted a truck overnight Saturday carrying 44 people, including some children. It happened on a dirt road near the Stansted border crossing.
They were basically asylum seekers who were discovered literally crammed into a tube truck without ventilation.
Fortunately, they were in good health. Now, we've seen several cases of people slipping across the border on foot to claim asylum, but large numbers of people smuggled in a vehicle are less common.
It's not a regular situation at all. I've been with CDFA for the last 25 years, and it's the first time we see that kind of illegal entry with so many people.
The CBSA wouldn't say where the people were from, but advocates who work with newcomers say most people coming across the border from the U.S. into Quebec to claim asylum these days are Haitian. In June, the Trump administration lifted special protections for Haitians, and experts say that's forcing tens of thousands of them to make difficult choices.
Donald Trump is exactly executing the threat of mass deportation, and what you see is probably not going to be the last time we see situations like this. I'm very worried.
The CBSA is now looking at the asylum seekers' individual cases, but some of them have already seen their claims rejected and been sent back to the U.S., and most of them likely will be. Andre says,
Yeah, of course, Canada doesn't have any infrastructure or things set up in place to be able to block all of these, asylum seekers, or I guess rather illegals that are trying to sneak into our country from America, trying to escape being deported, and we'll gladly welcome them in. In fact, if you're an illegal in America, chances are you can easily seek asylum in Canada under the guise of whatever it is your imagination is limited to. I mean, if you want to claim to be gay, part of the LGBTQSLI plus asylum seekers, that qualifies. If you want to claim to be, I don't really know, a cat, probably. I know Canada's just a weird place, and we just love to hand things out for free. It's a little worrisome. Anyways, shifting away from that stuff, now we got to take a look at what's going on with some of our finance and foreign affairs ministers, because they're traveling to Mexico and they're trying to undercut America and just deal directly with Mexico to maybe start pushing the U.S. out of some trade talks. Kind of interesting, but absolutely will 100% backlash, without a doubt.
Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand have announced that they are heading to Mexico City this week, and they're expected to hold talks with the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. CBC's Tom Perry has more on the trip and what the ministers are hoping to accomplish.
Well, Natasha, this was first reported by the Globe and Mail that Anita Anand and François-Philippe Champagne would be traveling to Mexico City, where they're expected to meet with Claudia Sheinbaum, Mexico's president. This is about building up bilateral trade relations between Canada and Mexico at a time when they're facing some pretty significant turbulence from here in Washington and the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump. So this will be about building bridges, maybe comparing notes about how the two countries are dealing with Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Our colleagues at Radio-Canada managed to talk to Minister Champagne about what he hopes to accomplish on this trip. Here's some of what he had to say.
We've been saying that we want to engage further with Mexico, a strategic partner. Very important as well in the context of the USMCA, Canada and Mexico share a lot. We want to diversify market. We want to look at exports. We want to look at how we can do more together.
So the ministers are expected to be in Mexico City for the next 2 days. They'll be taking part in meetings. As I say, sources are telling CBC News that this could be laying the groundwork for a meeting between Prime Minister Mark Carney and the Mexican president. Carney, of course, has met with President Sheinbaum before at the G7, spoken to her many times as well. So again, this is all about trying to lay more groundwork between these two trading partners who are trying to deal with a very unpredictable senior partner, if you will, in the United States, as they're both trying to navigate really the unpredictability of Donald Trump and his trade policies.
Well, speaking of that unpredictability, Tom, where do things stand in terms of the trade right now between the United States, Canada, and Mexico?
It's all a little bit up in the air. Of course, the Trump administration has been talking about striking trade deals with all of its U.S. Trade partners. Donald Trump had set this August 1st deadline last week to reach a deal with Mexico and Canada. Neither country got a deal. Mexico got a 90-day reprieve. Canada, not so fortunate, of course. We saw U.S. tariffs on goods not covered by the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal go from 25% to 35%. Now, we did hear from Dominic LeBlanc, the minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade, saying that he expects Prime Minister Carney and President Trump to speak in the next couple of days. Of course, the Prime Minister looking to work out some kind of deal with the U.S. president.
CBC's Tom Perry reporting from Washington.
Yeah, you're not going to get what you want by trying to cut America out of extra trade deals that Canada and Mexico have. It's just not going to work in the favor of Canadian officials. It's everything that could be going wrong or that you could do wrong. That's what Canada's doing. It's actually quite magnificent to see leaders do so many things incorrectly time and time again. I can't believe it. It's like they have the worst luck in the entire world, or they're just the stupidest people in the entire world. Or maybe it's a combination of both. But that's not the only coverage that we have around what's going on with Canada and Mexico.
Grace, it's Monday, August 4th. This is CTV News Channel. Great to have you with us across the country on this long weekend. Let's start by getting caught up with the latest on the trade war. So still no breakthrough right now on talks for a new Canada-U.S. trade deal this long weekend. But there are some new developments to share with the federal government's efforts to strengthen trade ties. Let's get right into it. CTV's Colton Prail joining us from Ottawa with the latest. Colton, 2 Canadian ministers off to Mexico tomorrow. What do we know about this trip?
Yeah, Tony, CTV News confirming this information just a few hours ago, but the Finance Minister, François-Philippe Champagne, as well as the Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, will both be in Mexico City over the next 2 days. They're going to be there Tuesday, Wednesday. They'll have meetings, high-level meetings with their official counterparts. They're also expected to meet with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. And sources tell CTV News that these meetings will be focused on trade, but also around the general relationship between these two countries. If you think back to 2024, even the early parts of this year, when there was that original Trump tariff threat, that relationship got a little bumpy. There were premiers Doug Ford as well as Danielle Smith calling for Canada to try to move to a unilateral trade deal with the United States to cut Mexico out of it. That was not something that was well received by the Mexican government. Things have improved since then as both nations have kind of been in the mix and thrust with the same deal from the United States, or up until a few days ago, the same deal from the United States, and dealing with the brunt of these tariffs. And so since then, we have seen efforts from both sides to repair that relationship. Claudia Sheinbaum talking about working closer with Canada. Obviously, she was there at the G7, the two leaders having a bilateral meeting again, saying that they were going to focus on strengthening trade ties. We saw on Friday Mark Carney's commitment to the trilateral CUSMA deal in his statement about the increased U.S. tariffs. And this is the next step in this relationship. Obviously, also the phone call between the two leaders. But this is the next step. It's senior government officials heading down to Mexico City this week. And, while this isn't going to necessarily change much, it is an effort to improve relationships at a time where that's incredibly vital. The Canadian government is looking to strengthen.
We don't have any beef with Mexico, especially not with our trade. Where we have beef is with America. So no, the next step is not flying down to Mexico to say, hey, can you please help us strong arm President Trump? No, that's not the freaking move at all, dude. The move is to go straight to the White House and say, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. What is it that you would like from Canada? Because we need to fix this. Please, pretty please. That's the next move. Not going around President Trump and America and going to Mexico. That's only going to piss Trump off even more.
In its trading relationships, Mexico is our third largest trading partner, but they only accounted for about 1% of exports in 2024. We're talking about $56 billion of goods and services that are going across both borders in a year. It's a lot, but it's nowhere near the $700 billion that's going through the U.S., or the $1 trillion, I should say, that's going cross borders with the U.S. on a daily basis. This is immense amount of trade, and so there really is an effort to work closer to home, deal with a country that has a higher GDP per capita than China, that's closer than China, who is our second largest trading partner as a single nation, and try to move things forward. At the same time, it's also a good idea to work on those relationships, especially as we are potentially looking at an upcoming review in 2026 of the free trade agreement with Mexico and the United States. We've seen the way that the U.S. has really pulled away from anything that's not
national security. That's what Trump's going to say at that review next year in 2026. He's going to say national security. Whatever, I don't even know what that means. He could just say that, though. Those words, that's all he needs to say. National security. And all of a sudden, everything is protected under Kuzma. Boom, poof, gone. No more protection. And he can just undo the entire trade deal at that review under national security. The president has the power to do that. It wouldn't have to need to be voted on or anything within America. It would just happen. Just like that. That's how powerful this person is that we're dealing with. And I think Mark Carney and other Canadian MPs think that they can go up against that. Give me a freaking break.
Unilateral or bilateral agreements. And so if there is an effort to do so, we haven't seen that yet from the United States, but if there is, it doesn't hurt to be on better grounds with Mexico in the midst of those talks.
Right, and Colton, of course, Mexico is a relatively geographically close neighbor, too, when you talk about the grand scheme of global trade. But quickly, I wanted to touch on the Canada-U.S. file because, of course, in the last 24 hours, we've heard that Prime Minister Carney and U.S. President Trump are supposed to be touching base in the coming days. So I guess this could be a pretty busy week in terms of the type of movement we're seeing on overall trade talks here.
Absolutely. We know they're expected to talk over the next couple of days. Dominic LeBlanc said that yesterday in an interview. He also mentioned that he was going to have a phone call with Howard Lutnick sometime this week as well. Those conversations all still progressing, but it's also important to note that Minister LeBlanc mentioned that there was still some ways to go to get to a place where a deal is possible. Now, everyone on the Canadian side has said they do believe there is a landing zone. They are optimistic that they can find that, but they're not necessarily in a rush to take a bad deal. And the tone from the federal government, while it has been consistent, is becoming more explicit, that their focus really is on looking elsewhere, on building up internally. You heard you've heard Mark Carney say repeatedly, on what we can control, but you heard Minister LeBlanc say this week, and it was a really crucial statement, that the next step for Canada is the economy, and that there will be a deal at the right time with the United States, but that next step really is the key caveat. It's something that we're seeing the federal government be more and more explicit about while we are in this limbo, past the last deadline, still without a trade deal. There really is a conscientious effort from the Canadian government to turn inwards and see what they can work on in the immediate term while also looking to find a trade deal with the United States.
Turn inwards. Look within yourself. Oh my goodness. It's bizarre that you have all of the leaders in Canada, all of the politicians in Canada, all collectively agreeing, for whatever strange reason, that we need to make America into our enemy and that we need to retaliate. All but one politician. All but one politician. Saskatchewan, the premier of Saskatchewan, Scott Moe, is the only politician in Canada to not have that take. In fact, it's the opposite. He's saying we should just not retaliate against America, and we should deal with it accordingly.
Premier Scott Moe says 95% of Saskatchewan exports will remain tariff-free through the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. They will escape U.S. President Donald Trump's increased 35% tariff on Canadian goods.
Credit to Dominic LeBlanc for his efforts in Washington, D.C. At least for now, it appears that the USMCA exemptions will still remain in place.
Potash is a major Saskatchewan export exempt from tariffs. In a written statement, Mosaic said Canadian potash is CUSMA compliant and remains tariff-free. The August 1st tariff rate increase does not impact potash. Saskatchewan steel and forestry are not as fortunate.
We need to continue to negotiate and work through those particular trade and tariff challenges in those industries, but we cannot underestimate or in any way undervalue the impact of having the USMCA agreement continuing to be in place.
The Premier is encouraging the federal government to resist the temptation of imposing counter tariffs.
The reason we will be urging for
calling for a tougher stance.
But we're not going to do it with a gun to our head. We're not going to do it in a situation where over 8 months we are threatened time and time again, where we're disrespected. Let's stop acting like we're not holding any cards here.
Shut the hell up, bitch. Yeah, you're not holding any cards. That's the thing, though. Like, these Canadian politicians that are going, we gotta stand up and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. Stand up and what? You're a mosquito in a lion's den. It's insanity. It's literally insanity mixed with retardation at the highest volume. That's what comes out of people's mouths when they're like, we gotta stand up to America, blah, blah. No, you're making life worse for everybody here involved, and you're making the situation worse and more of an economic immersion. Trump, literally, right now, at any time, he could just say, Kuzma, it doesn't matter anymore, national security. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? Oh, hey, Russia. You know what? I think for now I decide not to protect Canada. Do with that information as you will. And all of a sudden we got Russian parachutes falling from the sky. We don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is that we don't have the deck of cards. We don't have a leg to stand on. As much as politicians are trying to say that to you, the reality is that we do not have that type of leverage. We are a small country. We have no military. We have nothing other than 40-ish million people, some here legally, some also not here legally, that are customers to American products. If America shuts us out completely, we're fucked. Like, we've got a few days of having the lights turned on, and then all of a sudden, complete blackout, chaos. It's going to be insane. No, that's absolutely not the appropriate way to go about this. But here's what White House officials are now saying about the matter.
Let me ask you about Canada, which is our second largest trading partner. The president increased tariffs to 35%. It applies, though, to just about 10% of what Canada sells here. Why bother to do this now in the middle of negotiations?
So I would say, first of all, Canada is subject to 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum, 25% tariffs on autos, and again, the 35% tariff on goods that don't follow the rules of USMCA. And, early on, the president imposed a 25% tariff on Canada, and that was really about fentanyl and border issues, right? It's a separate regime from the reciprocal tariff. And what did Canada do in response? They talked about helping at the border, and I'm not the drug czar or anything, but what I do know as the trade guy is that Canada retaliated. The only other country in the world who retaliated on tariffs was the Chinese. And so if the president's going to take an action and the Canadians retaliate, the United States needs to maintain the integrity of our action, the effectiveness, so we have to go up.
So you're talking about the things that the former Prime Minister Trudeau put in place, not the current Prime Minister.
And are still in place.
They're still in place, but the current Prime Minister has held off largely on retaliation here. That's the guy you're negotiating with and his team. So what's the strategy here? And aren't you worried that this will hurt the broader free trade deal if you truly do want to renegotiate it next year?
Well, the president's view with every country, whether it's Canada or Mexico, and regardless of the kind of trade agreement we have in place, is that the net result of the trading system, whether it's our WTO agreements or our existing trade agreements, the net result has been that a lot of the manufacturing has gone overseas. And when that's the net result, you can't continue with that system. So I'm not concerned that it's going to complicate things with Canada. Our view is the president is trying to fix the terms of trade with Canada. And if there's a way to a deal, we'll find it. And if it's not, we'll have the tariff levels that we have.
So I hear you drawing distinctions when you say I'm the trade guy, not the drug czar.
Correct.
I'm the trade guy. I'm not handling these other things. But the president is kind of blending all these things together because he cited fentanyl once again when it came to tariffs.
Just so that he can use
the policy with Canada.
Just so that he can use the words national security. As long as that's documented, he doesn't have to go to the House, to the Senate, or to whatever and vote on it. He can do whatever he wants, however he wants, under the guise of national security. Canada strengthening ties with the European Union and increasing trade there. That's a national security issue because Europe also still sells a lot of stuff to Russia and the blah, 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 blah. Russia bad, they border Russia, they border China, they're all the way over there, blah, 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 national security. Trump can say or do whatever he wants as long as the words national security come out. He's got The power at B. That's the power of the president. We're seeing it right now. You want to keep playing with fire? Go ahead. It's going to bankrupt our country.
Also said on social media, Canada's decision to back statehood for Palestine is going to make it hard for us to make a trade deal. How does that have anything to do with financial and trade agreements?
So first of all, the President of the United States has his foreign affairs power where he can manage relations.
I mean, he's dealing with wars right now. He's dealing with Israel. He's dealing with Gaza. He just dealt with Iran by launching those B-2 bombers or B-52 bombers or whatever the hell stealth mission Impossible 7 that was. Like, that was absolutely crazy what happened there. He's literally running the most powerful military in the entire world. If he's saying, hey, that's a problem, Canada, for you guys to come out and say that shit, then hey, you know what? It's a problem for Canada to come out and say that shit. That's just how it is. You don't have to like it. It doesn't really matter. That's what it is. The most powerful person running the most powerful country, running the most powerful military in the entire world. Literally, if America just said, you know what, we're going to take a nap for about a month, do whatever you guys want in the world would explode, implode. It would be total chaos. It'd be like the Purge. Without America patrolling the seas, without America having its dominance and running its economy the way it is, right? There would just be chaos around the world. America is quite literally viewed as the world police. So if they're saying, hey, there's a problem with it, chances are, Canada, there's a fucking problem with it.
The Constitution with foreign countries. Second of all, Congress delegated to the president the ability to take economic action in response to national emergencies in the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. And for example, the Treasury Department, they certainly can do something that's softer, which is to allow the trade to just put a tariff on it.
Canada has been fucking around, and now we are at the stage, unfortunately, of finding out. And it's coming at your expense. It's coming at my expense. I'm fed up with this. I'm so fed up. I'm sick and tired, and I've never felt less patriotic in my entire life. Working in the military, there was a period of time where I was just so freaking happy and proud to be Canadian. Wore it on my left shoulder for many years when I was in uniform, and I don't have that same enthusiasm about this country anymore. Maybe that's something you can relate to. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments.
Retreat! 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 What orders? Engage, yes. Agreed, yes, yes. Warm up your fires. said no. Demon caller. Slain the threat. Scuttle start next time. March, march! Scupper scurry! servant of decay. Absolutely not. welcome to all, whether you... Blessed filth! My command! Stop! Yes, yes! Warlord, me!
The lady has no time for it.
Words have great power. The power over life and death, for example.
What do you bring before the hag, sorceress?
Inventor. Yes, yes. Fight! Good God!
Who seeks me? Mother of the Dark Convent. All-powerful sorceress.
Will suffice. Now! Not as pestilent as Samson.
No matter how you look at it, things are absolutely 100% falling apart in Canada. I mean, the trade talks between Canada and America are on the back burner because, of course, recognizing Palestine as a state is a priority. Only in September, though, but so is our Prime Minister's attendance to the Pride Parade in Vancouver. That is extremely more important than the trade deal. And Canada's approach to the trade deal is, you know what, if we can't get a deal with America, we're just going to go around them and chat with Mexico, because what's the worst that could happen? Also, mainstream media is finally starting to realize that, yeah, Kuzma, yeah, that shield of protection, at least not for long, because Trump will, in fact, without a doubt, be going after the Kuzma trade deals under the guise of whatever he wants to, right? But I always think that it's under the guise of national security. And so, yeah, things are not going very good for Canada. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I really want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. The stuff that I'm talking about in this video, it doesn't bring me joy. There's a lot of like negativity-ish in this video, but that's just the news cycle. Things are not looking good for Canada, even for the conservative side of Canada, like Pierre Poilievre, running in the by-election, just recently answered a question about Alberta separatism, which I've said from the beginning, if Pierre is forcing people to choose between himself or separatism or referendum or Alberta independence or the West leaving Canada, it's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people, and we're now at that impasse. So there's just a lot of stuff to take a look at, and I hope you do stick around for the full thing. And since we are talking about so much different news from the left and from the right, that's a perfect introduction into today's sponsor. I'm not going to lie, I'm still pretty sad about the election loss. And crazy part is, depending what side you're actually on, either you view this as a good thing or you view this as a bad thing. But the reality is, to quote a liberal, that the work is just beginning. And that's exactly why I go to Ground News. Ground News is the literal best way to cut through all of the crap and get right to the truth. Even when it feels like everything is stacked against you, these stories remind you that you're not alone. Take the story on Mark Carney and the Liberals pulling it off. Almost 400 sources are covering it from all across the political spectrum. Sherwood News, a left-leaning media outlet, saying that Canada's backlash against Trump tariff is reshaping our northern border shopping habits. Meanwhile, on the right, The Hub is saying that Need to Know, Carney tried to distance himself from Justin Trudeau during the French language debate. It's a hard case to make. One of my favorite features of Ground News is the blind spot feature that shows you stories that you would have missed from the left and from the right. Canada is more polarized than ever before, and with Mark Carney as Prime Minister, it's probably going to get significantly worse. So if you want to make sure that you're getting the full story, make sure you click the link down below in the description, or use the pinned comment below, or scan the QR code on the screen, or visit ground.news/sun to get yourself 40% off the Vantage plan today. It may feel like it's going to be a long few years, but we're all in this together, and let's just reshape the whole chicken dance thing, and let's just end it with keep your stick on the ice. Without further ado, let's get right into this video, starting off with the fact that President Donald Trump has said that he may want to actually run for president in 2028. Probably not, but I'd like to run, he says.
Unless I run again.
Are you going to run again? The
No,
Constitution.
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And you're not going to fire Jay Powell. We'll all talk about all the stuff that.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs, and they love the trade deal, and they love that countries, and they love that foreign countries aren't ripping us off. Over the years, they ripped us off, friend and foe. Unless I run again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Republicans that like the tariffs. It's all of America likes the tariffs. You're seeing a surplus month after month, and people can be angry about politics and X, Y, and Z, but when it comes time to it, more money in your pockets means you're probably going to be a little bit less angry and more satisfied. And that's exactly what Trump is doing with America. So that's the whole point of America First in this golden age, which we are going to see America be thriving while Canada simultaneously shits the bed. But yeah, that's just our leaders. That's our leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Then you've got Spain has apparently dismantled a smuggling ring, moving migrants to Canada with fake passports.
Police in Spain say they've dismantled a criminal network suspected of smuggling migrants into Canada and the U.S. Canada and the UK. Police say they began their investigation after the Canada Border Services Agency alerted officials about cases of Yemeni nationals entering the country with fake travel documents. Police say 11 suspected gang members were arrested. to have charged over $3,000 US per mic.
Oh my goodness. Canada is so good at policing our borders and all that stuff that we have other countries do the work for us. Thank goodness Spain caught on to this, because otherwise we would have just had those people plus more come into our country like they have been. Our security in this country is an absolute joke. I don't even understand. Like, you think that the government has it all figured out, that the government is like spying on people all the time, listening to phone calls, monitoring text messages, making sure that terrorists aren't coming into this country, and then a shit ton of terrorists come into this country, and you just kind of have to wonder, what the hell is going on with our freaking government? Well, not what's going on with our government, but what's going on with other governments is a bit alarming. You know how Mark Carney is saying, Europe, that country we align more with European values than American values, or whatever the hell he said, or Muslim values. I don't even know. I don't even care. We all know that Mark Carney wants Canada to join Europe, the European Union. There's all these weird polls that have come out recently that show that 52% or whatever of Canadians want to join the European Union. It's very weird. Well, a tough reality check is that, hey, Europe might not be that good of a place to join when it comes to tariffs. Let's take a look here. Apparently, you've got 35% tariffs that are being threatened on Europe by President Trump.
Mr. President, what kind of teeth, though, are in those investments? What kind of teeth are in those investments that would force the EU to make those investments? If they don't make those investments, what happens on the other side?
Well, then they pay tariffs of 35%. No, they brought down their tariffs. So they paid $600 billion, and because of that, I reduced their tariffs from 30% down to 15%. And a couple of countries came, how come EU is paying less than us? And I said, well, because they gave me $600 billion. And that's a gift. That's not like, a loan, by the way. That's not a loan that, 3 years comes up, we have to pay it back. There's nothing to pay back. They gave us $600 billion that we can invest in anything we want.
The deal that you...
And nobody knows it, Becky. Nobody knows it because, they don't know.
No, we have been trying to figure out the details on that, Mr. President. So
there are no details.
Clarity on
the
that.
details are $600 billion to invest in anything I want. Anything. Okay. I can do anything I want with it. And the purpose was they pay up, and they have to pay up. We couldn't afford to have the deficit. Look, I did something with Switzerland the other day. I spoke to their prime minister. The woman was nice, but she didn't want to listen. And they said essentially no tariffs. And I said, we have a $41 billion deficit with you, madam. I didn't know her. I said, we have a $41 billion deficit, and you want to pay 1% tariffs. You wanted 1%. I said, you're not going to pay 1%. We lose, because I view deficit as loss. You have some people that, by the way, I think
pharmaceuticals are a big issue with Switzerland. I think.
Well, I'll go into pharmaceuticals. Yeah. They make a fortune with pharmaceuticals, and they make our pharmaceuticals in China and Ireland and everything else. And within the next week or so, we're going to be announcing tariffs on specifically. This is a separate class than the 15% tariffs on sort of everything. These are excluded classes, I call them. I like to call them excluded, like steel, aluminum, etc.
Right, the 232.
He ain't messing around, I'll tell you that. I mean, countries think that they're safe, and now they're quickly finding out that, no, they're not, unless you're willing to give America a lot of money or give America some land or all that stuff. You will be tariffed, and it will hurt a lot. And Canada, for some reason, has this mindset where that just doesn't make any sense. How could that possibly be? We've been neighbors. Come on, we fought in the same wars. We deserve, we're entitled. Please, gimme. And look, I'm Canadian, born and raised in Canada. I love Canada. I love Canadians. I don't like our government. I don't like the direction that we're heading in. And that's an okay feeling. So if you have this anger or resentment towards the government and the system right now, and how our government, our liberal government, has been handling this trade stuff, and you think maybe it'd just be better for Alberta to separate, maybe it'd be better for us to be annexed by America so we can have cheaper costs of living. It's not like you're saying, hey, I want Russia to invade us. Nah, man, America, we're tied at the hip. I mean, the land looks the same. You drive from Windsor into America, you don't even recognize the difference. Oh, the speed limits are a little bit lower. Oh, it's in miles per hour instead of kilometers. Okay. Like, it's just pretty much the same thing already, except we have colorful monopoly money and a massive